Hey everyone, welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the altcoin market and specifically looking at some of the altcoins available on Robinhood and on Coinbase, some of the more common ones, and see where the altcoin market is at right now with comparison to some of these greater Bitcoin cycles. I, of course, do videos on the Bitcoin cycles and rainbow chart every Monday. Stay tuned for those. And I also do videos on Bitcoin mining stocks pretty much every Tuesday. So subscribe if you want to see those videos. So starting off with crypto fear and greed, we are still in fear, and we have been in extreme fear not too long ago. So as far as the last year's gone, we were in an uptrend until March. That was the last top. That's when Bitcoin was making a new all-time high, somewhere around 74K. And as you can see, just like the market has been in a downtrend for Bitcoin, we have been in a downtrend for fear and greed. So right now we are making higher lows in greed and fear on this chart, but it isn't showing a lot of strength yet. So I am suspecting either a big move to the upside of the channel, which I'll show you in a second here. Otherwise, continuous weakness towards the downside, which is somewhat reflected in this chart. So zooming way out before we go any further, something to note is that when we were last up in extreme greed here in March, I was curious to see whether we would get kind of a spike like we did in 2019, or if we would stay up in greed for a while. This was when Bitcoin was breaking and making and holding new all-time highs in 2020, but instead it is looking somewhat more similar. Again, it's every time's a little bit different. It is reminding me more of the 2019 mid-cycle top, albeit we didn't spike down as hard and as fast. We've been slowly going down, so there is a difference there. But once Bitcoin does get above its all-time high around 70,000 and starts staying there, and we get up here in greed and stay there, that's when I think alt season will soon be coming. So that's what I'm looking for, and it's good to look at this stuff now so we're not buying in and chasing the pumps, chasing the hype, and all that stuff. So going over to the alt season index, right now we have a higher low in the alt season index. And as you can see here, last time in last cycle, we got 3 of these spikes. This chart only goes back so far and only shows the one spike at the end of the 2017 cycle. By this time, I know this is February of 18, alts were already starting to die quite a bit. So I'm actually surprised it's way up here. Alt season in 2017, 2018 was really at the end of December, early January. So I'm curious what it would have looked like here. But overall, we have not had any of these spikes yet. So as far as opportunities to, if you are going to get any of the alts that do more than a 5x, 10x, 20x, now might be a good time to look for some dollar cost average opportunities. And I'll show you what are some indicators I use to try to DCA, or when I dollar cost average in. As far as the rainbow chart, again, I do more in-depth videos on this. We're at the upper edge of this accumulate phase. And even if we go a little bit deeper, let's say we stay bearish through October, you can see that third box from the bottom, the green one, the accumulate one, or the teal one, I should say, it only shows us going as low as 47. And I think that's important to consider, because should we get very bearish for Bitcoin, let's go over to the Bitcoin chart, and we are looking at this on the weekly time frame, that 47K might be by that time where the 100-week moving average is. We also have some good price action support back here as well. So just like fear and greed, remember how I said we were making lower highs, lower lows, still in this downtrend. Sorry about my dog. But if we are to get down under the 50-week moving average, and compare this to 2019, I think this 100-week moving average would be a good target. Again, that 47K, it's also at the lower end of this Bitcoin rainbow chart. Again, we're looking at this accumulate zone, and let's say we're bearish around rate cuts whenever they happen, that 47, 48K mark would be right there. Going back to 2019, so I can show you guys what we're referencing here. After we had this mid-cycle top, you can see just like we are having today, we challenged the 50-week moving average and eventually broke underneath it. And yes, we got down to the 200, though what I'm considering right now is this was the COVID dump right here. So if we did not have the COVID dump, maybe we only get as low as the 100. So if Bitcoin and crypto does get down to the 100 moving average, I am going to be looking for even more value in dollar cost average opportunities. I believe we are in something like this, and we have not yet hit the euphoric phase yet. So I know the Fed's going to cut, and typically rate cuts can have bearish sentiment that comes with it. But if we go and have a cutting cycle, something like we did in 1998, let me pull that up for you. Here we go, U.S. interest rates. If we have a cutting cycle like we did in 1998, and let's go back here, people were thinking that the market was in a bubble back here, and it wasn't a bubble. That was the dot-com bubble. Today we have the AI bubble, and I believe the bubble might not be done yet. We have not hit quite the euphoric phase as we did back here. So it is possible that after the Fed has held rates for higher for longer, that maybe they do some cuts, maybe inflation gets a little sticky and then they raise again. If they pause and raise, this would be the time, if, I'm not saying this is going to happen, this would be the time that alts start to explode and that the market's probably going to a euphoric blow off top. Now, if the Fed starts cutting rates very fast, 50 basis points or more, we can more likely look for bearish price action in the short to medium term time frame. So something to keep in mind, stocks, all that stuff, what the Fed's doing, it does matter. Something to watch for as far as what could be affecting the price action. Let's get into altcoins. Now, first we are going to start off with Total 3. And Total 3 is the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And right now, you can see I have this Fibonacci retracement. It's this tool right here, drawn from the prior high to the prior low. And we are at the 0.5 as well as the 50-week moving average. You can see we're stuck right in between there. And Total 3, which is just basically the altcoin market as a whole, is seeing where we are going to go. And you can see, by the way, how much the Total 3 is worth. That's about 583 billion as of today. So going back to 2019, because we did make that comparison, what happened in 2019? Well, you can see it only got up. We were so bearish, it only got up to the 100-week and is way down here. So right now, that is a bit different than what we had before. We were underneath it quite a bit here. I am looking at all of this as more of support rather than resistance like we had in 2019. Plus, there's more money in the crypto market right now. So don't always expect the exact same moving averages to happen. All because something happened before and hit certain moving averages does not mean it has to happen again. I know I just talked about that with Bitcoin, but again, if you stick to the game of predictions, it's an easy way to miss out on opportunities. We want to make sure we are taking what the market's giving us, and be careful with thinking that a prediction of what happened before has happened again, because that starts to create a bias. Again, here at Market Psychology, we want to observe where our emotions are possibly getting in the way of how we view the markets. And that's why we look at fear and greed as an indicator. And that's why we look at, wishing or hoping for prior predictions as an indicator, because it doesn't always have to happen. But right now, today, what the market's showing us, in my opinion, if it did get down here to the 100 and the 382 fib, you can see a lot of price action there. Kind of similar to what we were talking about with Bitcoin. I think this would be a good level. So let's start getting into some of the altcoins. So here, Ethereum, it's already at the 100 and some upper level of price action. You can see here, it has this upward moving trend line. Now, Ethereum, it had recently, Bitcoin had that 30% sell off, but Ethereum, look at that. It had almost a 50% sell off. So people were able to get in down here. It didn't get quite to the 0.5 in the 200 week, but should this 618 not hold, then you got to watch for the 100 week as well as this trend line. And if Ethereum gets somewhere down in this 2200 range, 2100 range, again, guys, I think that is good long-term dollar cost averaging opportunity. And right now, we'll go to coinmarketcap.com, Ethereum has a 300 roughly $1 billion market cap. And market cap is an important thing to consider because, if Ethereum is to get to somewhere around 10,000, then you're looking at Ethereum having something like a $1.3 trillion market cap at most. And so, yes, market cap, it's always organically growing because we have inflation year after year after year, whether it's 2% or 7%, whatever. Market cap organically goes up over time, but we also have to be realistic in our expectations. And should we get another cycle top as we have before, in my opinion, the areas I'd be looking for price targets for Ethereum would be between that $1 to $1.5 trillion mark. Now, if we look, a way to look at where possible price targets would be, let's say that's our base case, that Ethereum is going to be doing something around a 4 or a 5x to be between that $1 to $1.5 trillion mark. I showed you here how we draw the fib. It's this tool right here. You draw from the high to the low. If you take your Fibonacci retracement off log scale, you can see some of the targets up here. And what you notice, the 1618 extension, okay, that's about a 3x. And that would put us close to around $9.5 to $1 trillion. So right there, that would be maybe a base case, somewhere around $7,300. But what do we notice up here? The 2618 is at 11K, and 11K would be about a 4x, and that would be around the that would be around the $1.2 trillion mark. I'm just doing rough math in my head here, guys. So the 2618 right here, that would be my target for possible best case scenarios. Now, could it possibly, get to 1.5 trillion, even more, and challenge a 3618? Sure, we will see. If we get something closer to a 4-year cycle where the crypto cycle, again, I do videos on this every week on Monday, should we get another 4-year cycle where we top somewhere around, later in the year, around September to December, in 25, I could see some of those higher price targets coming into play. So right here, this is my conservative, and even right now, saying conservative target seems kind of crazy. I'll tell you, after living through 2017 and the 2021 bull runs and having money in and being able to make good money, I know it seems crazy, but should crypto continue to be cyclical like this, that could very well be some of the price targets to look for. So, an important thing for you guys to consider is, do you believe in these crypto cycles? And if you do, then now may not be the worst time to dollar cost average in. Now, before I get to some of the other more common altcoins, here are a couple ways that you can look for dollar cost average opportunities. So one way, obviously, is the fib retracement. After we make these certain highs and it retraces, you can look at some of these levels to target, and you can set buy orders on Coinbase and Robinhood. You can target some of these levels and dollar cost average in a little bit more each time. I also have these moving averages on. This is if you type in EMA 20, 50, 100, 200, that some of these moving averages could be targets as well. And you could dollar cost average in more at some of the lower moving averages. I only use the weekly time frame or even monthly time frame as far as moving averages. And look at that, I almost got to the 50-month moving average. But going over to the weekly, that's another way to look at possible price targets. But the two that I really like, and I use this indicator, the 1020 MA crossover with Fibonacci signals. I use this in a bull market, and in my opinion, we're still technically in a bull market. When we flash green on the weekly, that tends to be a good time to buy. Now, obviously, we are underneath those two price targets right here. But if you would have been dollar cost averaging in on the weekly, overall, let's say you're just doing 500, the same amount, overall, within the last number of years, you'd be pretty positive. You would be more than positive. So that's one way to do it. The other indicator, that's a buy-sell signal. I use this in a bear market for confirmation. That's UT bot alerts. And this one I even like to use. This one is more of a lagging indicator, whereas the other one's a leading indicator. And this one I like using in a bear market and even looking at the monthly. Now, in the monthly, you can see being a lagging indicator, you would miss out on all this down here, so you can look at the weekly for some areas to get in. But if you're being very conservative, guys, you don't have to buy the exact bottoms each time. What you're trying to do is think of the overall crypto market as a sandwich, if you will, and you don't have to eat the whole sandwich. But if you're buying in, overall at these points, yes, you may miss out on some of the bread, but overall, if you're going by these indicators, you're still getting 80, 70% of what's in the middle. So that's another way to go. I use that indicator in a bear market. After this one, I'll show you some of the other altcoins we'll just look at. The other indicators I like to use, this one I don't buy purely off it, but if we're seeing us being oversold, I look for that as well. That's just, again, I don't purely buy based off what the RSI does. This one I look more, where the strength is going. We're still going down, so I'm a little hesitant there on the weekly. And here on the daily, we still went down, so I'm looking for a higher low in the RSI. Again, I'm not always buying exactly that, but I do like the stochastic RSI, and you can buy this one on the weekly whenever it starts to flip positive, which look, it's about to flip positive. So if you just dollar cost average in, whenever the blue flips above the orange, that tends to be overall good times to buy. Again, you're not going to always hit the exact bottom, but you don't need to. So those are different indicators and things I use. Let's take a look at some of the other altcoins, okay? We'll start running through these and see where we are at. So I'm not going to throw on all the other indicators. We'll just do one that's nice and easy right here. And if there's a green dot on the weekly, hey, it might be a good time to buy. So right now, Link, still red on the weekly. So a danger, like let's say you're like, hey, this is showing good price support. We're at the 200 moving average underneath it. But a thing to consider is you might be catching a falling knife if this continues to stay red. So if you do want to be more aggressive, do know that it is possible this can continue to stay red and go lower. So patience is important with this. So Link, still a bit red. It might come back down to this 236 area at around $8.50. But it is under the 200 week moving average. So, if your indicator, one of them for dollar cost averaging is the moving averages, there you go. Let's take a look at fetch.ai. It has AI in the name, so people are going to put money into it. Holding on to the 100 week buy a thread right now, and it is possible it even comes down here to the 60s. The 62 level, there's price action, there's a 786. So if you're willing to be patient, that could be an area to get some fetch. Underneath that, man, look at all this price action. I don't think it'll get down there, but if it did, the 0.5 at around 26 would be the next target. Things got very bearish. ICP, yeah, we're just going to run through a number of these. ICP looking very bearish here on the weekly. This has to hold, otherwise, this thing's going to start falling off even deeper. On the daily, you can see here. Overall, it does have higher lows, so it is holding on there. Jasmy, Jasmy is one that people like. It is coming down to this 382 level, and it has a couple moving averages of support. So right here, this level of 17, 18 cents, good support for Jasmy. And look, if you would have drawn a fib, you would have had a possible good price target here at around 17 cents to get in. Now, it's hard to draw some of these, especially when the coin starts up here. I don't always fully trust the fibs when this is the chart we got, so I do recommend looking at some other indicators as well to confirm if you wanted to get in. Let's go to some of the other more popular altcoins. Let's take a look at Doge. Doge right now, again, you could consider, hey, it's near the 200-week moving average at the 236, good value. That's one way to look at it, is that we have good, deep value. And if you believe, whatever altcoins you're going to pick, I'm not going to tell you what to pick, but whatever ones you pick, you want to like the research you read about it. But I will caution you on that. Guys, being in the 2017, 2021 markets, I've read a lot of good research on a lot of altcoins that I've been going through the lists or reading some of my old emails on coins that looked very promising, had utility and all that stuff. And a lot of them, most of them are gone right now. Some of the only ones that stuck around, things like Tron, which I wouldn't even touch anymore. I think Justin Sun is basically the Chinese Sam Bankman-Fried, so not touching Tron with a 10-foot pole. But very few altcoins that I liked in 2017 are still around today. Cardano, that chart doesn't even look as good today. But if you like it, deep value. Overall, though, I'll tell you guys, smart money doesn't look at charts like this as good charts or as coins that are looking very strong. If you want to talk about coins that'll do very well, and in my XRP video, people are accusing me of shilling Solana. Guys, I am not here to shill Solana over XRP or anything, but just looking at this, honestly, this looks like a strong chart where people like it, they believe in it, they're putting money into it. So Solana, you can't deny that people like this more than something like an XRP. All the same, though, you would be chasing the higher ends of the value of this, but with the moving averages, with the fibs, right here, 123. Look at that. It went through the 50 week and the 786 fib. If you would have set any sort of buy orders there at 123, or next where this 50 week moving average is 120, maybe set a buy order around there between 120 123 with a certain amount of money. And if you catch it and we do another blip like we have once, twice, 3-4 times before, you might be able to get some. Now there's always a risk, of course, that it could fall lower, and we have the 100 week moving average as well as this price action, but again, if you want to be very patient, you could set a buy order for $100 Solana. Okay, let's go to XRP. If you believe in XRP, and I hope you guys make money if you do have money in XRP. Again, this chart, there's no denying it. It's not as strong as the Solana chart. Okay, you can just see that with your own two eyes. But if you do like XRP and the deep value, okay, you could say, okay, right here it's at the 382 fib, but maybe I'll set some buy orders at around 54 cents, which is around where the 50 and the 100 is. Or I'll set a buy order at 51 cents, 51 cents. Or at the 236 fib, you might set a buy order at around 45 cents. You can see the prices there at the right. So those are some ways to look for some possible value. And with if you go by that method of looking for price entries, by moving averages or fib lines, you're allowed to be patient. But what's important to note, guys, with Robinhood and Coinbase, I think Robinhood, you can set a buy order that I think can only last for like 3 months, and has hit that price target within the next 3 months. So do know that sometimes there's a time limit on the buy orders. Let's take a look at Cardano. I mentioned Cardano before. We're just going to hop around here, guys. And of course, if there's any altcoins you want me to take a look at, please comment them in the comments below. Let's fix our fib here so it's more accurate. All right, there we go. So Cardano, fib not looking great. Weekly moving average not looking great. Okay, now you might be a big Cardano fan, and that's okay if you are. You're getting deep value. But again, I would wait for price structure. We're underneath all the moving average support. We're underneath the last bit of fib support. The only thing we have here is higher lows. So you could set some trend lines, some horizontal trend lines. We can take a look at things right here, and you can take a look. Okay, here's a big base right down here. If we got low, this would be very deep value around 24 cents, and we might never get there. But again, what you're looking for is just a lot of common price action moving across here that it's honored before. Here'd be another area, in my opinion, around 31 cents. So again, if Cardano got underneath the 24 cent range, I would be very worried, by the way, of it turning into it just falling off a cliff. So let's take a look at just a few more here. Again, we're just going to run through these pretty quick. SHIB, right now underneath the moving averages, you'd set a buy order at the 106. It's way down there after 4 zeros. Bonk, it's people are talking about Bonk and Pepe being the new Doge and SHIB. Yeah, maybe we'll go with that Bonk chart right here. So we had these trend lines. It broke underneath that lower one, so we can get rid of that. That's invalidated. Let's do a fib from the low to the high here. So we'll go from the most recent low, go to the last high that it made. Right now, Bonk is still above the 618. So with this fib, if you're drawn from a low to a high instead of the high to the low, which we could do as well, you can see we're right at the 618. But if we did go from the high to the low, sorry, I have to click this again, did go from the high to the low, where would that put us on the other chart? Let's get rid of that first one here. Inversely, you're kind of seeing the same thing. It's just a little bit above the 382. So I'm trying to show you guys how I look at some of these for possible price entries. IMX, I don't think we looked at that one. It's been a while. You can see the fibs, way out there. So let's extend it out a bit. Again, another one above the 382. In my opinion, guys, whenever we draw a fib retracement and we move up a bit and then come down, as long as we stay above the 382, I like that. It's keeping that amount of price action and volume in that coin. But anytime it gets below it, I think it turns into a more risky play of something that may or may not run like it has before. And this is something, maybe we'll take a look at one or two more alts and then close it there. But guys, this is something important to know is that, with coins like Bitcoin Cash and XRP, they only got to the 786 fib retracement before. Bitcoin Cash, would Coinbase work? Yeah, there we go. So if we were to draw a fib from the high to the low, this only got to the 786 from its high in 2017. Okay, you see that right here. Here's the 786 and only got really almost two there. So XRP, same thing, and only got to the 786. I think this is the good chart here. Yeah, you can see that high there in 2017, and it only got the price to the 786 level. So some of the coins that were really good in 2021, do watch for that, stuff like Doge, SHIB, and others. What other altcoins could we take a look at here that we haven't looked at yet? How about Matic? I think last time I looked at Matic, who is not doing well. Okay, you see here we made a higher low. It's like, thank God. And then we had a buy signal on the weekly, and it's coming up to challenge that 236 fib. But guys, this is not looking great for Matic, and it has to hold on to this level at around 31 cents. Otherwise, oh God, you can see it here coming down to, there's not a lot holding it up here. You can see it coming down to like 4 or 5 cents if this wasn't able to hold. So, do be careful of some of these. DNT, this project is dead for all that we're concerned, but right there it's still holding on. So money from somewhere is still going into it. But again, guys, these are very risky plays. And as far as who's putting all the money in to pump these up, I do wonder about that. It's like what people are out there, putting money into these projects that are dead. They're probably just putting it in because they know no one else is, and it's just a safe place to store their money before, retail starts getting excited, pumping it up further, and then they take their initial investment out at a profit. So that's kind of my guess as to what's happening. Anyways, guys, I just want to show you where the altcoin market was at. Ways I look for deep value and confirmation. Of course, make your own risks. And if you like the deep value, if let's say where a coin like DNT is at, by the way, that's a doji, that means undecided, could go lower, that you have some strategies on where to dollar cost average in. Of course, nothing I say is financial advice. Don't just do purely what a YouTuber says. It's obviously better to, invest your money with, within your 401k or Roth IRA, with an actual financial advisor. I'm not telling you not to do those things. But if you are investing on your own, playing with money on your own, these are some things I do that work for me. And that's it. That's all I can say is, I'm not telling you guys what to do, but just these are ways that I'm able to dollar cost average in and overall make money from a trade vesting standpoint with crypto. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's what I'm looking at as far as the altcoin market. I know it looks crappy, and guys, I'll tell you, here's a positive indicator. The views on a lot of crypto videos are going down. That means it tends to be a good time to get in. So if you were excited and getting in back here at the pumps, this is a better time to get in right now. Again, we're looking at the sentiment and fear and greed as indicators. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day. Take care.